Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the last video, we completed designing the shop UI, and in today's video, we are going to be scripting it so we can control it using a button. So let me just show up our buttons here. So this is the UI we made in the last video, and in this video, we are going to be scripting it. So when we click on this shop button here, the UI is going to open. So let me just hide this. And now we have our shop button over here. So where we are going to place our script is inside of the starter player, inside of the starter player scripts. I'm going to create a folder in here. Let's rename this to our GUI. And inside of our GUI, I'm going to create a module script. And I'm going to name this module script to our shop controller. Nice. So now outside of the GUI folder, inside of the starter player scripts, I'm going to create a local script and rename it to GUI init. Nice. So now back to our shop controller module script. I'm going to delete everything and then create a shop controller. And then we are going to return shop controller. Nice. So in here, we are going to define all of the functions we need to open and close our shop. So the very first one we need is the one to open the shop when we click on this button. So first things first, we need a reference to our player GUI. So at the very top, I'm just going to create a reference to our player service. So local player equals to game get service players, and our player is equals to players dot local player. Now let's reference our GUI. So for that, we are going to wait for child player GUI. Nice. So for our shop button, we should open up our starter GUI. Inside of here, we have our shop GUI. Let's also reference that. So our shop GUI is equals to our GUI colon wait for child, and we call it shop GUI. So let's type in shop GUI. Now for the button, let's also reference it. So our shop button is equals to shop GUI dot shop btn. And then for the shop UI itself, it's shop GUI dot shop frame. So this is our shop frame. Nice. So now that we have that, we can start creating our functions. So the very first one we are going to create, let me just copy this name. So now shop controller dot init. Nice. So inside of this init function, we are just going to connect all of our event listeners. So let's do connect events. Now let's define the function for that. So shop controller dot connect events. We do this. Nice. So inside of here, the very first event we are going to listen to is when we click our shop button. So we can do shop button dot. Also, let's give it a type up here so we know what we are working with. So this is a text button, and this is a canvas group. Canvas group. Nice. So we can do shop button dot activated and then we connect to it. Let's pass in a function, and then inside of the function, we're just going to say let's just do shop controller dot toggle. Now let's define this toggle function up here. So function shop controller dot toggle. So we see if our shop frame dot visible, then we are going to do shop frame dot visible equals to false, and else we do shop frame dot visible equals to true. So now before we forget, let's come down here and shop controller dot connect event. I'm going to add in an S here and add in another S here. So with this, we should be able to open and close our shop by clicking on the button. So now everything is inside of a module script, so it's not going to be executed when we run the game. That's why we have this GUI init local script here. So now back into our GUI init local script, I can now import the controller. So we can do shop controller is equals to require script dot parent dot GUI dot shop controller. Now that we have that, let's just define a quick function here. So function init, right? Let's just create our shop controller, that is equal to shop controller dot init, and then down here we call the init function. This is local function init. Nice. So now we have that. Let's open up our output and test run the game. Okay, so the moment of truth. Now let's try clicking on our shop button, and voila, our button, our shop is opening. Nice. So now we have the first part completed. Next, let's hook up this close button here, so we can click on this close button to close the shop. I'm going to stop my game from running. And I'm going to close it. So instead of setting our visible and instead of setting our visibility to false or true, I'm going to create instead another function for opening and closing. So we can do shop controller.open. It just sets it to true, and then shop controller.close, that sets it to false. So if it's visible, we then do shop controller. No, can do shop controller dot close. Now let's copy that, delete this and paste it, and switch this to open. Now that we have these functions, we'll be able to connect another event for the close button. So let's reference our close button. Close btn of type of text button is equal to our shop GUI, or rather, let's check where it is. It's located inside of our shop frame, and it's called close btn. So let's do shop frame dot close btn. Nice. So now we have our close button. I can copy the name, and then inside of our events down here, let me add in a comment up here. All right, and this is open, or rather the shop button. And then down here we have our close or button. So for that, we do close button dot activated, and then we connect to it. Nice. So inside of here, we just do shop controller dot close, and that's it. Now we can test run the game once more. Let me also open the output so we know if we have any errors. Nice. So now we can click on shop, and we have our shop, and when we click on the close button, it closes the shop. Great. Nice. So we have that working. The next section is to actually render our shop catalog. So let's do that. Now, back to our shop controller, I'm going to click on this arrow button here to collapse all of these functions. Since they're already working, we don't need to touch them for now. Okay, so I have to define a catalog for my shop items. If I just go on ahead and set the visibility of this to true, we can see that for every shop item, we need a name, we need a price, and that's it. Then we need a function or something to do when it's clicked. So I'm going to close up my starter GUI, and I'm going to come into replicated storage and create a folder. I'm going to rename this folder to our, what do I call it? I'm going to call it data. And then inside of data, I'm going to create a module script, and I'm going to call it shop catalog. Nice. So I'm going to create my shop catalog table here. So shop catalog is equal to an empty table, and then I'm going to return shop catalog. So now inside of here, we can start creating our items. So the very first thing we need to do is to define a type. So let's do type shop item is equal to a table. So every item needs a name. So name should be of type of string, right? And then a price of type of number, and a function for it. So when we click on it, what do we want to happen? So this should be an empty arrow function. Nice. So yeah, when we click on it, yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's come in here and give it a type of a shop item. So inside of this, we can start defining our stuff. So the very first one, we need the name to be, actually, let's add in a key here. So should have a string, and then the item should be that. So the ID for carrot, you can just do carrot is equal to, and then name is equal to carrot, and now price is equal to 300, and on click we can just print something. So we can do carrot clicked. Let's see. Okay, so now let's just copy this over. I'm just going to copy this, paste it a few more times, and this should be apple. Apple should be, let's see, 500, and then here we can do apple clicked, and then down here we can do mango clicked. So let's rename this to mango. I'm going to copy the name, and then I'm going to paste it here. So now we have all of these items inside of our shop catalog. So we are ready to use it inside of our shop controller. So now back to our shop controller, we are going to import replicated storage. So local replicated storage is equals to our game colon get service replicated storage. And now we need to make a reference to our module. So let me just call this modules. And also this is GUI init. This is not where we want this. I'm just cut everything out and paste it up here inside of our shop controller. So I'm just going to bring our modules down over here. So this should be our shop catalog, which is equal to require our replicated storage dot data dot shop catalog. So inside of our init function, I'll just want to print out our shop catalog. So shop catalog, let me add in a text here that says catalog shop catalog. Nice. So now we can run our game. Also, let's make this invisible since we've already copied what we want. Now I'm going to hit an F5 to play the game, and also I'm going to open up the output to see our output. Nice. So we can see down here in our catalog that we have our apple. Nice. We have a carrot, and we also have our mango. Great. So now we should go on ahead and render this into the UI so that when we click on our shop, they are going to appear here. Nice. So let me stop this. So to do that, I'm going to first of all come into our player, into our shop frame, and inside of our items frame, we have this item object here. So if I just quickly switch this on and select on our item, you can see that the entire entry here is called an item. So I'm just going to right click on it, not the name, click here, right click, copy, and then I'm going to come into replicated storage, and I'm going to create a new folder inside of replicated storage. I'm going to call this folder UI, all capital, and then I'm going to right click and paste into it. So now we have our item, and I'm going to rename it to our item template. Nice. So now we can delete the item we have inside of our shop. Boom. Nice. So now we can click on the shop frame, set the visibility to off. Now back inside of our shop controller, we need a way to load all of our items. So immediately after we connect our events, I want to do shop shop controller dot load. Now I'm going to copy this function call and define it up here. So let me just come up here. And this should be function. Nice. So we have this. Okay. So inside of this, we are going to load up our catalog. We are going to look through our catalog and then create an item for each of them. So let's do that. Now we do for, let's just do item ID, and item inside of our shop catalog. We want to create an item for it. So let's define a new function here. So I'm going to do shop controller dot load item, and we are going to pass in the item, and that's it. So now let's copy this and define the function right below here. So we're going to do function dot item and pass in our item. Okay, so now that we have our item, we want to clone our template from in here. So let's go there. So we can do local templates is equal to replicated storage dot UI dot item template colon clone. So we are going to clone it. If you forget to clone this, it's going to just move our template out somewhere. So if it's not here, the next item to be cloned will not be able to find this item. So we're just going to clone it. Nice. So inside of our item template, you can see that we have the info and the buy button. So let's make references to them. So I can do local info. Let's just do local info equals to our template dot info, and then local buy. Let me do it this way. Local buy button is equal to our template dot buy button. Nice. So let's go on ahead and set the text. So we can do info dot name. You can see that we have two names here. So the info itself has its own name. So when we do info.name, it's going to refer to the name of this frame. So instead, let's wait for the child or find the first child. So info colon find first child name dot text is equals to our item dot name. I believe that's what it's called. So we can just open up our data to see. Yeah, it's called name. So we can also do info colon find first child of our price dot text we can do is equal to, then we can use backticks and then add our dollar sign, then curly brackets, and then type in item dot price, just like that. And now we have that. So next we have to add in the function. So we can do our buy. Okay, I think I misspelled this. I'm going to select the both of them with Control D and then rename this to buy. So we have buy button. Let's also give it a type, which is a text button. Right. So we can do buy button dot activated colon connect. Inside of in here, we are going to pass in our function, and the function is inside of our item. So it's item dot on click. And check in our shop catalog, and this is what we call it, or dot on click. Nice. So after having everything ready, it's finally time to move our template into our items frame here. So we can do local items frame is equals to our shop frame dot items frame. And we can do our template dot parent is equals to our items frame. And yeah, we should also set the visibility to true. And also let's also rename our template inside of so we don't want everything to be called template. Nice. So now that we have that, I think we are ready to test our UI. So let me just go on ahead and show this. You can see that right now our shop is empty. So hopefully if everything runs correctly, we are going to see our 3 items in here. So also let me come into shop controller, and immediately after we initialize, I want to close our shop controller. So let's close it. Nice. So now what am I doing? I just want to rotate around this guy here. Nice. So now F5 to run the game. I'm going to open up our output so we know if we have any errors. And yeah, we don't have any errors. So this is the moment of truth. Will it work? Let's see. Boom. Nice. So now we have all of our items being rendered inside of the shop. When I click on carrot, you can see it says carrot clicked. And when I click on mango, it says mango clicked. And when I click on apple, it says apple clicked. And we can close our shop. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of the support. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned a thing or two, just make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.